Right, hi, it's Matt here from Around Square, and I'm coming in with a little product launch video for November 2021. I'm going to try to be quick. I'm rarely successful at that, but I'm going to jump right into it here. I think I've got like 5 different things to talk about. I've even made a list this time, so get ready. The first up is our new Chetki model. So this is a plate style Chetki with the rectangular beads, and this is, there's a couple of different styles that are common if you're browsing the original kind of Russian traditional style Chetki. The Pozvanok Chetki that we launched a couple of months ago, those are fairly common, but the other common type is this plate style Chetki. They often have like larger rectangular plates. We've gone with a very small rectangular bead here to give nice, you can see here, nice flexibility and movement in the beads so that they really kind of flex around the fingers when you're doing tricks. And the end beads have this tapering out that gives a little bit more kind of weight at the ends. And the length is a nice touch that I noted when I was watching Russian players play. That end bead gives a bit of control there. You can see as you run them through your fingers, that one creates a little bit of a stop there. So it's a little bit like having end weight, but it just gives you the control to keep it from slipping all the way through your fingers. All right. So we've got brass and Delrin in hand right now, and we're launching with 7 different configurations: black and white Delrin, and then a few with brass intermixed, and then a full brass version. I'll go through them all one by one. The full Delrin version is very light and snappy. It's super responsive, not very forgiving in the sense that the slightest mismovement will result in the trick kind of coming apart on you. So I lose these off my fingertips pretty often, but they're so light that doesn't really matter, and it's just a very fun, casual set to play, and it doesn't bang up the fingers or anything. We've paired it with a titanium bead rather than stainless steel, which is what we normally use with Delrin. The reason for that is mainly balance. I found that the heavier stainless steel bead, it kind of it was a little bit disproportionate in terms of weight, and it threw off the balance of the set. Also, I found that stainless steel bead was kind of smacking my hand, and felt out of place on such a lightweight set. So the tie bead is just a really nice complementary weight for the Delrin in this case. All right. So we got the full Delrin version available in white and in black, and just a very fun casual set. You'll notice that the white is slightly translucent. That's characteristic of most white Delrin. With the black cord and the thin walls, you can actually kind of see through it a little bit, which gives it kind of a neat look as well. All right. Stepping up in weight, we go to what I call the brass stripe. So these ones have just one brass bead out towards either end, but it's not at the very end. So that's actually interesting because it gives you extra momentum, but it's not right at the very end. So what I find is that when they come around and it smacks, it doesn't come in with as much weight. It doesn't smack the knuckles or anything, and I find this very comfortable and fun to play. It doesn't have a lot of extra momentum. It still doesn't feel like playing Bigleri. Playing Bigleri, the weight's all out at the end. With these full Delrin ones and with these ones, it definitely feels like something different because the weight is more evenly distributed. Okay. But I like this set because it does have that little bit extra momentum, so it's a bit more forgiving in terms of the responsiveness to your movements and so on, and just a little bit extra control, I guess. Okay, so we've got this one also available in white and black Delrin. Both look pretty dang classy, in my opinion. Then taking it one step further, we've got what I call the full brass accent. So this set here has the brass ends as well as brass stripes at either end. Okay, so this one is the set that I think feels the most like playing Bigleri, and it's very forgiving because you've got that weight at the end. These weighted ends really anchor the set nicely, and it doesn't it's not prone to going flying out of the hand and slipping off it, because between the shape of these beads and the fact that they're heavier, it just, it anchors in place very nicely for you, and so it feels very stable to play. But the overall weight of the set is still not that not that hefty. All right. So we've got this one in black Delrin, as well as white Delrin as well. Okay. So just for comparison, okay, pretty slick, right? And stepping up one step further, the big boys, these are full brass. And now when I designed this, I originally kind of designed it thinking of titanium, and brass I went with because I thought, it's going to be a nice accent and people like to mix and match. I was thinking of it mainly for accents, but it turns out that the full brass set is actually super playable. In fact, it might be the weight where I have the most consistent performance across my range of tricks. And I think the reason for that is similar to playing a heavy set of Bugleri. It's just very stable in the hand, and it's very forgiving. If if your movements are a little bit off, the momentum will kind of carry you through, and it kind of self-corrects. I want to mention that even with the heavy sets, I don't find it banging up my fingers much. I think the reason, I was a little worried about the corners. The edges are all rounded, but the corners are still a little bit, they're obviously still square corners. So it's not a round set like a set of Bugleri. But because it's played in this linear way, it tends to kind of slap rather than kind of bite the hand. So it doesn't come in very hard. And I even playing with this heavy set pretty vigorously, no issues for me. Right. Another thing I really like about the brass set is it's actually surprisingly nice just for raindrops. So I string these up with some space in between the beads, and there's a few reasons for that. But first of all, it allows for nice movement, because the beads, if they're too tight, they don't want to move, right? So this, if you're doing finger rolls and stuff, you need that movement. But also it allows for the raindrops, and it allows for the bead counting. And there's one additional thing, which I'm going to call this a bug rather than a feature, but it's a pretty cool bug. So if the way these are strung up, you've got the end here, a little loop of cord. If you tuck the knots through, give yourself a little bit of space. Oops. Okay, so the reason I'm calling this a bug rather than a feature is it's not super easy to do, but you can actually wear these as a set on your wrist. Okay, which is kind of cool because they look awesome. It's a really nice set of beads, a really classy looking set of beads, and the fact that you can wear it on your wrist, even if it's a little bit of trouble to put on in the beginning, it stays on nice and securely. I've just tucked that knot through the bead through the knot, and then if I want to get it off, just kind of create the slack, and then I shove that bead back through. Now, I can't promise that it's going to stay on through thick and thin, but I've gone for as much as a 15-kilometer run with the brass set on, and aside from it just kind of jingling around and being a bit of a bother because it's heavy, the thing didn't come apart at all, and the cord is super durable. And I've had this off and on. I've been playing with this heavy brass set for several weeks, no issues. It turns gray, and it's got a little bit of fraying, but the cord's still plenty secure. All right. A note on the pricing of these guys, with my apologies, they're all going to be quite expensive. The reason for that is partly the manufacturing challenges, but also it's just the sheer number of little beads. And these are all precision, custom-made beads. And the way to think about it, I think, is basically you look at what it costs for a set of Bugleri, and then you think that you're getting 20 beads here, and so the cost, it's not material cost at this point. When you have a set of Bugleri or the small beads like this, the cost, you're not paying a lot for Delrin, whether it's a set of Delrin Titans or a Delrin bead this size. The amount of material is pretty comparable in the grand scheme of things, and it's more the manufacturing and handling cost and how long it ties up the machines for in the machining process. And unfortunately, you have a basic unit cost, and then you multiply that by 20, and you end up with an expensive product. So I love this design, and I want it to be very accessible. I'm a bit bummed that I can't do a Delrin version for really cheap, because I try to do Delrin for a reasonably priced, accessible version on most of our products. And I couldn't do that with these. So I'm exploring a bunch of other options, including injection molding and ABS plastic for a possible future release. We'll see what we can do. I'm doing my best, because I want people to have access to this set, because I really like it. And my apologies that the price might be a deterrent for a number of people this round. Hopefully, if you go for it and you love it, you feel like you're getting your money's worth. That's always my goal, and trust that I'm also thinking about those of you that don't have big budgets, and I'd like to make a model available for you guys in the future as well. So stay tuned for more updates on that. Titanium is probably going to be delayed until the new year because the manufacturer has had such a hard time with the production. They actually had machines break down. They've had to order new parts, and we're again exploring other options there, because the titanium one has turned out to be really expensive to produce as well, even relative to our other titanium products, just because I guess the shape of the parts, the small design, and so on. So we're looking at other options for other producers that are more specialized in like watch parts and so on, to try and bring that price down in the future as well. But anyways, for now, I'm still really excited about the launch with the Delrin and the brass. I hope you guys are too. And we'll take it from there. Next up is our contact balls. So I've been teasing these guys for a while, and I'm excited to finally make them accessible. What to say about these? I think most people are familiar with this type of product. I want to be very careful, although we're calling these contact balls. These are not contact juggling balls. If you see people online doing this kind of wavy thing, rolling stuff through their body, catching it on their heads, don't try that with these things, because these are like basically shot puts, and you're going to break yourself if you try that sort of thing with these, or damage your house or whatever. All right. We've got a few different options. I'm going to go through the different sizes. Starting off, we've got a 35 millimeter, and these are fun. You can play them in contact with each other, or you can get them going and keep them apart. I really like the 35 millimeter titanium, because they're small enough you can put them in your pocket, and they doesn't feel like you're lugging around a couple of shot puts. These are like nice and light, so it's almost an EDC item. Maybe not for everybody, but definitely small enough that you can throw them in the backpack and not really notice them. So we've got 35 millimeter, stepping up size comparison with 40 millimeter. Okay, so 40 millimeter, just to see them in motion, look like this. Stepping up one step further, we're going also to 50 millimeter. Okay, so the 50 millimeter looks substantially bigger, and they are. Okay. The 50 millimeter is a very nice size for me, like as an adult male with normal-ish size hands. My hands aren't big, not small. 50 millimeters feels nice and comfortable. I have a set of these on my desk. I like it a lot as a desk item. It's just very smooth and relaxing, comfortable. Whereas the 35 millimeters, I like for walking around, carrying, and I'm not too concerned about dropping them, especially the titanium ones. But the 50 millimeter ones feel like, frankly, more satisfying and nice to play. Okay. And then stepping up to the big boys, these are 70 millimeter, and these are not something to just like go into haphazardly, casually. These are going to be expensive, because they're expensive to make, and they're also heavy as hell. And if you drop one of these, they're like I think more than a kilogram and a half each. They're going to break your floor. They're going to break your foot. They're going to injure your pet or your child. So be smart if you want to get something like this. It's more of this is definitely more of a training type item. I'm standing up right now, but my toes are out of the way, and I have a rubber floor in my shop, so I'm not too concerned. But something like this, you want to be, definitely playing it over a couch or a carpet or a lawn or something like that, so you don't damage things. 70 millimeter is only going to be available in stainless steel. There's no point in the crazy cost of titanium at this size, because the main reason you'd want something this big is for the weight, to get some training benefit. Okay. The 50 millimeter will be available in titanium and stainless steel. To be honest, I prefer the stainless steel ones, even though, as a salesperson, business person, I should be saying, oh, titanium, but it's, for this size, the stainless steel feels really nice, and the titanium is pretty expensive. Okay. 40 millimeter, again, we got titanium and stainless steel, and then 35 millimeter, we've got titanium, stainless steel, and check these out. Zircuti. So these are, crazily expensive to make. The price is going to deter people. You've seen the price of the ultras in Zircuti. So kind of roughly what order of magnitude or what multiplier you need to go to translate pricing from Thai into Zircuti. But these are gorgeous. If you know what you're getting into, and you want something that's just going to really stand out, these are definitely definitely gonna catch some nice looks. All right. What else? Note about the name of these things. We've decided to call them contact balls because that's just a nice generic name, and it roughly describes the type of manipulation that we're doing with them. I want to mention, I've heard people calling these Baoding balls on the English internet, and the name puzzled me because I've spent quite a lot of time in China and talked to plenty of Chinese people about these because I've been fascinated with them for a long time. Never had I ever heard a Chinese person call these Baoding balls. And in fact, when I've asked a few Chinese people about this, none of them have ever heard of the term Baoding balls. They didn't know what I was talking about. The term that gets most commonly used in China for these is jianshengqiu, and that translates roughly to like health or fitness balls. Now, I didn't want to call them health balls or fitness balls because it's kind of a lame sounding name when you translate it to English. But I also didn't want to pick up the name Baoding balls because it seems inauthentic. It seems, I think it's one of those things that gets picked up by the English internet and isn't necessarily accurate in its representation of the origin of the thing. So who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these were invented in Baoding, China, which it is an actual place. But these are like centuries or possibly millennia old. I don't think anybody really knows what the origin story exactly is. And I can tell you that the common term is jianshengqiu. The other term that gets used for these balls is gongfuqiu. And you'll see that if you go to a sporting goods store in China, they're sold often alongside kung fu equipment. Because I guess there's a fairly long tradition of these things being used by martial artists to strengthen the fingers, wrists, and hands, and so on. So that's just a quick little rant on the naming. I'm not on a campaign to nuke the term Baoding balls. Use it if you want it. Search online and you might find some good stuff under that search term. But I can just tell you that that's not like the official name. Okay. And as far as the round square is concerned, I'm more into the term contact balls. And it is kind of also referencing contact juggling as well, although just be careful how you use these guys because they're heavy and they're going to hurt if you drop them on something. All right. Okay, next up is our new pen models. So we had to restock our titanium pens, and in the process of doing that, we hit up our supplier to see what else they could do, and they have done a really beautiful version in Delrin for us. So this is just clean white Delrin, straight down to the set screw. The set screw is also Delrin. I actually, just as a safety, ordered some stainless steel ones because I wasn't sure how the Delrin would perform as a set screw, but it's actually great. I've had no issues with it. It binds like really good. Haven't had it loosen or anything. And as long as you're using an actual screwdriver to tighten it, you're not gonna mess up the thread or anything. Okay, so this is Delrin. No etching or anything on that. But check this out. This is the new fade aluminum version. I really like how bold the logo is on this. And it fades from a kind of a dark blue to a dark gray. I wanted to go with something that didn't have too much contrast because sometimes it can be a little bit jarring or a little bit messy looking if you have too much contrast in the fade. I really like this. It's subtle, but it's it's still very obvious and visible. when you post the cap, the colors are nicely complementary. And yeah, I really like these guys. I've been using them a lot. I've actually been surprised with how much I reach for the Delrin one, just because it's so light. It's got nice grip to it as well, and you can throw it in your pocket and not really notice it. So I'm really happy with these two guys, and of course the titanium is always a go-to as well. They still have the same Fisher Space Pen refills, which I continue to be an advocate for. I think that they're the best for what they do. They're just a very reliable cartridge to use for a pocket pen. You know, I've had requests for all sorts of other, stationary geeks all have their preferences. So I've had requests for different types of cartridges, and we may do other stuff in the future. But for now, just as something reliable to write with on pretty much any type of paper or surface, I still feel like the Fisher Space Pen is kind of the best option, and so that's what we've gone with. All right, that's the pens. Next up is the Kevlar cord. So we are restocking the 2mm, roughly 3 gram custom Kevlar cord that we have been using on our Ultras recently. I love this cord. To my surprise, it sold out very quickly, and so we've restocked with a good amount, and hopefully this stays in stock for a little bit longer this time. But it's great stuff, very reliable. Haven't had anybody with any complaints about it. And it's really nice on the boss bead. The boss bead stays in place pretty good, and easy to slide and so on. So that's the thinner cord. And then we've got this new thicker stuff. So this is roughly 7 gram cord. Again, 12-strand, high-density construction, but this is designed to be comparable to 550. So you can see in comparison to some 550 here. What I like about this, a few things. So although it's a coarser-looking weave, it actually feels way softer to me than 550. 550 has, it's a fine weave, but you can feel that those fibers. Here, it's a much softer, kind of almost like a brushed feeling. Also, 550 can flatten on you. This stuff, it's a hexagonal weave. So it's actually the same 12-strand construction and roundish weave that we use on the thinner cord. But just when you magnify it to this size, you can see it's actually hexagonal. But I haven't found any flattening of this cord, and it's got a nice compressibility to it, so it feels kind of cushiony. Works well with a 4mm bore or a 3.5mm bore. So just all-around good stuff. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And we'll be offering this in a bunch of different sizes. And we're also going to be offering it on some of our sets. So that brings me to the last item, which is the set that I've got in my hand. These are what they look like, just mini hydras, but it's a new setup that we're going to be offering with titanium and Delrin. Okay. Previously, we offered stainless steel and Delrin, which look almost identical, but they're just a bit heavier. The titanium and Delrin brings the weight down to like a very, very light set, but I personally really like it. And last time I picked up a set of the Delrin stainless steel beads. That's a more standard weight, but I actually found it a little bit heavy to play with, and I like a little bit less enjoyable for that. I've kind of personally gone away from all the fancy complex tricks, and I'm just more of a casual Biglari player these days, just because probably because I can't keep up with the kids, right? So I'm just going a little bit old school, but I just really like the light, springy feeling of this set. So yeah, that's I think that's it. So we got the new plate check key, we got the contact balls, we got a couple new pens, we got Kevlar cord, and we've got Delrin and titanium mini hydras. So come on over to the website on Friday to get in on the action. I'm going to send out a email as soon as I can get it together with some more details on these things, including things like weight. But yeah, if I've forgotten anything, I'll probably try to mention it in the comments or elsewhere online. And if you have any questions, try to hit me up online. I tend to be busy the week before a launch, but I'll try to be there if there's questions. So thanks everybody, and I guess that's it for now. Okay, bye.